Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited because we are going to deep dive into the cobalt colors. This video is the first of a series. For me, when I started to paint, cobalt was just cobalt blue, and then I found out the pigment PB28, and then I found out that cobalt actually is a family of pigments, and even the cobalt blue PB28 has many siblings. Today, not only we're going to have an overview of the whole cobalt family, but we will also be opening this Cobalt Watercolor set by Graham. This is the first watercolor I bought of this brand. I have bought this at Jackson's Art during the watercolor sale, and I have waited the right moment to open it. I know this is a marvelous brand, and I have never owned one single tube, so this cobalt exploration was the right opportunity to open and swatch this cobalt set by Graham. So if you're curious about the Cobalt family, I suggest you to visit the handprint.com site. There is a very interesting chapter about cobalt colors. Let's start from Cobalt Violet. Cobalt Violet, I have here an example from Rembrandt. It's a very delicate and granulating violet. There are different types, and there are at least two pigments, PV14 and PV49. I own a PV14 by Rembrandt, and here you see it. It's very delicate, non-staining. Then there is the classic Cobalt Blue. It's not just the PB28, the one that I met first, and I think is the most popular, but there is also PB35, also called Cerulean Blue. And then we have PB72, 73, 74, even PB36, which is in the family of Cobalt Turquoise. You can find it as a Cobalt Blue. You will see this in next videos, but the classic Cobalt Blue I'll show you in Dried Pen by Old Holland. And this is also non-staining. It's a perfect mix in blue, but even on its own, look at this. It's delightful for sky. It has the property of being very, very granulating. And this is PB28, a classic Cobalt Blue. And then, as an example of cerulean, this is Cerulean by Winsor & Newton, PB35. It's another cobalt color. So really, it's a whole world that I have discovered when I have decided to better understand what cobalt means. I confess that I'm a bit of a pigment nerd. You might have understood this, but it's so much fun to understand pigments. I really like it. So, and this is another cobalt colors, and it is Cerulean Blue by Winsor & Newton. Then we have my beloved Cobalt Turquoise. This is my go-to palette, where I squeeze my favorite tubes. Isn't it wonderful? This is PG50, so it's made with cobalt green, but you can have a teal also. It's a teal color called. You can have it also from another pigment, which is PB36. So there are two varieties on the market, PB36 and PG50. This is PG50. It's very strong, very opaque. It's delightful. It's a color that I really think it's a must-have in any palette. Wonderful. Then we go to Cobalt Green. Here also we have different pigments. I will show you PG26 by Lucas, and it's called Verona Green Earth. Sorry, all these mistakes, but I was so enthusiastic about Cobalt that I was making mistakes. And this is PG26. It's a good alternative to phthalo green or Viridian. PG26 by Lucas. It's not a color that I use very often, but I might learn to use it more often because actually it looks like a great mixing ring. And then, surprisingly, there is also a cobalt yellow. Called also Aureoline, you might have heard about it, and it is PY40. I have it by Old Holland, and this is Aureoline, and this is also cobalt color. There is also Cobalt Black, which is PBK13, but I don't have it, so I can't swatch it. All these cobalt pigments that you see, so PB14, PB28, PB36, all these pigments, why are they called cobalt? Because they are, I have read this on Handprint, I really recommend you to go to this site. They are manufactured by roasting a mixture of cobalt oxide with other metals. And according to the different metal that you mix, you get a different color. So these are some of the colors that you can get. Usually they are granular, they are non-staining, so you can lift them very easily. They are semi-transparent, so they're somehow opaque, especially some of them. Cerulean, I found it quite opaque. Winsor & Newton Cobalt Turquoise is also an opaque color, which is perfect for water, because when I paint fountains or poodles, I just paint over the base and it covers everything. They are very, very permanent. There is an exception to these properties. It is cobalt yellow. It is made with cobalt, PY40, but actually it has some light fastness issues. It's non-granulating, it's not very light fast. That's why Aureoline, many brands don't have PY40, the genuine pigment, but they have an Aureoline hue with a substitute. But we go into this topic in another video. They all reflect red light, so they have a red shade, and they produce warm yellows, warm violets, warm blues. You see the warmth in them. But also when mixed, they can be slightly dull, especially in greens and turquoises. And be careful because they're slightly toxic, so don't eat your paint, just leave it on the paper. Okay, that's all for now, and next I will swatch this Graham color. So the moment has come to unbox this Cobalt set by Graham. I'm not the bravest person on earth, so I'm always a bit scared when I have a cutter in my hand. I know this is a huge, wonderful brand. So this is 5 colors, Cobalt Watercolor set. By the way, Watercolor is written C-O-L-O-R in American English, whereas it has a U, C-O-L-O-U-R in British English. I was taught to write color with the British spelling, but I know that internationally it's better to use the American spelling. So you will be seeing me using both, because naturally I would write color with a U, but I know that standard international English must follow the rules of American spelling. So this is American spelling. It's made with honey, just like Sennelier, for richer color and prevents hardening. So I think that you can really pour it in a pen with no problem of reviving it. 5 beautiful tubes, and we have cobalt blue, green, teal, violet and cerulean blue dip. We're going to swatch these right away. Oh, this is so beautiful, so classy. I love this tube, so professional. It's a happy day today. Sunday morning, I have plenty of time to play with my new Graham watercolor paint. I'm all set to swatch my new Graham. So violet, blue, blue deep, cerulean, cobalt and green. We start from Cobalt Violet. Okay, this is a bluish Cobalt Violet. So soft in the tube, it's fantastic. I'll put some here. Oh, it's really so soft. You can tell it has honey because it's somehow sticky. But look at the granulation immediately. And once again, this paper is my usual paper, which is not the best paper for granulation. This is more bluish than the Rembrandt variety I had, but still PV14. I will add more here while it's wet. And while it dries, I'll let you know all the information on the tube. It has the name, the brand, the name of the paint in different languages, and caution because it is slightly toxic, warning cancer and reproductive harm, so don't eat it. The light fastness information 1, so totally light fast. Pigment, cobalt, phosphate, PB14, gamma Arabic, and all the legal information about code. So that's it. And we have the same in all tubes. And this is our Cobalt Violet. I will grab a bigger brush maybe. So this is Cobalt Blue, PB28. You know, cobalt was used in old times for porcelain, bone china, and you can tell this wonderful smalt color. Look at how lovely this is. This is so pigmented. Well, I don't believe how beautiful this is. Maybe I put too much here. Taken by overwhelmed by the enthusiasm for this new brand. Oh, I don't want to throw this away. I'll put it in a pan. I will add more here. Such wonderful, wonderful paint. This is incredible. Such a pity that in Italy we don't find it. It's wonderful. Oh, it's a joy to paint with it. It's an incredible feeling. Beautiful. Now we go to Cerulean Blue Deep. Now, Cerulean, this time is made with PB36 and not PB35. I have some Cobalt Blue by My Mary with this pigment, which I like very much, and also another blue by Paul Rubens with this pigment. And it's a pigment that is really nice. The flowing paper is just incredible. I have wet the paper is wet, but still incredible flow. I wouldn't mind a whole palette by this color. Incredible. Wonderful. And now this is Steel. I'm in love with my Winsor & Newton tube, but this is incredible. But I don't know if you can see on camera, on screen, how well it moves on paper. It's really incredible and so pigmented. I know I can sound over enthusiastic, but this is probably among the best paints I have ever tried. This steel is wonderful, and surprisingly, it's made with PB28, which is the pigment used for Cobalt Blue. It's neither PG50 nor PB36. Cobalt Green. I understand that a small quantity is more than enough because it is so pigmented. Look at this. It explodes on paper. Wow. I hardly have to touch it with my brush because it goes by itself. So it might give some difficulties in control, but maybe I should use it on dry paper to see the difference. I will add some more on top. Now I know what to buy next time there is a watercolor sale at Jackson's. This is incredible. But like all brands manufactured in the States, they're very hard to find in Europe and very expensive. So I can only buy them if there is a sale. And this was bought during a sale at Jackson's. But I think that very slowly I wouldn't mind building a collection of Graham. Wonderful color. So now my paint is dry, and there is some dry shift, but still is luminous, pigmented, vibrant. I think it's wonderful paint. There is some binder issue here in Cobalt Violet. It's slightly shiny, but perfectly acceptable. The price was quite expensive, but these tubes are huge. This is 15 milliliters compared to the 5 milliliters of Winsor & Newton. This is 3 times as much. So this is also why this is so expensive. But if you compare the quantity, I think that the price point for the quality is perfectly acceptable, especially if you find it, if you buy it during a sale. So we're over with this Cobalt overview. I think that maybe most of you already knew a lot about the Cobalt family. I was really curious. I hope that this video was of some help. And these are my previous swatches, and these are my first impressions of Graham colors. In next videos we will deep dive into each of these family and compare different brands. I hope that will be interesting for you. Let me know in the comments if the Cobalt journey would be interesting for you. It's really important for me to know your opinion. And also, I would be very curious to know if you have ever tried Graham, if it is easily available in your country, and what your impressions are. I have not painted with this, just first impressions, but I am really impressed by this brand. And also, if you let me know what Cobalt colors are your favorite, I will try to include them in my next videos. Thanks a lot for being with me, and it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel so you won't miss my next Cobalt videos. Thanks a lot, and ciao from Italy. Ciao!